Hey, what's up, you guys? Back with another video. Busting them out today. So, YouTube, this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I want to discuss two topics in this video. One, being invisible theater. Two, being contracts. Let's start with invisible theater. Invisible theater, for those that have not, let's say, done it. I'm sure you've seen an example. It's basically when theater is taking place in an unexpected area and the audience doesn't know that they are a part of the show. If you have never experienced this in person where people come out and say, you're a part of the show, you're a part of this event, essentially. One example that I'm sure you are familiar with is the TV series What Would You Do? If you are not familiar with that, I'm sure you've seen some type of video on YouTube where people are maybe doing pranks and they don't know that they're being filmed, or they're doing a social experiment to test how people would react to these social issues that they are trying to investigate and hopefully change based off of the findings of what happens in these scenarios. At the minimum, making more people aware of these social issues. So that's a little brief introduction and explanation of invisible theater, and I bring that into this conversation because I have been exposed to the reality that it's our negative energy that is getting used up to keep this matrix alive and running. And how they're doing that, it just made me think of the analogy of invisible theater. So what are some examples that I've had in my life that I can share that may get you to start thinking about your life? Was that just a random occurrence, or was that some little invisible theater scene, just that they're not coming out and telling you, hey, this is a show, hey, this is the event. You don't get to know, everyone else does. If you are an ancient aboriginal being to this land who is still connected to source, if you still have all of that divine energy within you, and that's because you as an ancient aboriginal being can make things happen. So, couple examples. When I was working at my last job, I had to bag some items and put stickers just on them so that the other team knew where to pick them from. It didn't matter where the sticker was up until this one day. So this one day, of course, all the stickers in the fridge are in this one spot, and it never looked like that before. This guy then talked to me, and then I talked to him, and then I replied because I felt irritated. And he then replied after I was walking away. It got turned into an issue. And managers then came in and talked to us. But at the end of this whole interaction that took place, I then got so frustrated because I felt so vulnerable, and I felt I was not in a safe space, and I didn't need to explain that I wasn't. It's like, when you're in a safe space or not, and I knew I wasn't. And I'm now just crying. And afterwards there was a shift of how this other person was treating me, and it was unnecessary, bottom line, and I didn't deserve that treatment. And afterwards, the HR leader that day came in, was kind, and offered to send me home. And I would still get paid. That's the thing, I would still get paid. And so I did that. But that's what was telling me, in that moment, that was just a little invisible theater scene. All the people knew, because every other day that I'd been there, working there, it was not the case. And that was the one time where all of these stickers were placed in a completely different spot, and that it was made aware to me. I was the only one in that area that day that, is an ancient aboriginal being, still connected to the land, still connected to source. Is it going to shift when my energy drops in frequency? the energy that these beings in the astrals, the dead, feed off of. So that was just one example at my job, and I knew another indicator that was, all organized and planned was that, yes, they sent me home, but they didn't want me to quit. They didn't want me to leave. I eventually did, because I'm not going to be suffering in that type of way, and it wouldn't have been like that every single day, specifically with a damn sticker, but in making things more difficult for me at that location and job for the sole reason because I have that energy in me. I'm still connected to source, as are a handful of you. If you're on your journey of remembering who you are, as all of you for that specific group, being put in situations, organized situations, where the goal is for you to drop in frequency, be it fear, anxiety, sadness, depression, anger, and for you to be in that place long enough that it makes a difference for these beings who are in the spiritual realm. So that was one example. The other two, one I'm going to give when I was younger and I was in high school. I went to Coast with my dad and my brother, and we ended up going to dinner one time. And my dad, ended up wearing he brought pants. No. Yes. I think it was the fact, it was either he was in shorts and they were like, you need to be in pants, or it was the fact that he was in jeans. And they said, oh, you can't be in jeans for the buffet. And my brother and I were really looking forward to eating at the buffet. But because of that, we got, ushered away. Honestly, we were told we couldn't be there and we couldn't be in that space. So they moved us to a completely different space in the hotel that we were staying in area, and gave us food there, and it was pasta, and it was great, and it was tasty, and I still enjoyed the view of the sea that my brother and I were looking at. It was really nice. It was great. But that was just a small moment where it was like, dang, I really was looking forward to the buffet because I love me a buffet, and that was just a moment right there, looking back, that did not take as much effort to, and there wasn't the need for my brother or I to be in a heightened state of lower frequency, but it was enough to get that negative energy, The third time, I was on a safari with my dad and my brother, and I was on top of the sunroof because we were looking for animals, and some of these not guards, but they were men that were patrolling the land, basically came up to our vehicle and were like, oh, he can't do that, and then they started getting loud, and I started feeling uneasy, and my dad was just like, oh no, this is our vehicle, and they kept going back and forth. So with that not confrontation, but that little bit of conflict, I did feel, as I said before, uneasy in my body, and I noticed myself just super excited looking at animals, taking in all this vegetation and beauty, to what's going on, what's happening, why are they going back and forth, why are they upset, and that's just, I hate to say that it's how easily I, in the past, have been affected to being brought into someone else's world, and it just, I don't want to say affecting me, because that sounds like I'm blaming, but I just, there's a beat change in how I'm feeling. You don't know what that is. There's just a new bit of information in a play, that changes the stasis of what it was before. And there's a shift in my body. So there's a shift in my body then, and I just started feeling a little more worried and confused about what was going on. And my Dad eventually ended the conversation by just putting his foot down and being like, nah, he can stay up top. And I was like, no, it's fine. I can come down or whatever. If it's really that deep, because I just wanted to continue the safari. But I mean, that's how the conversation ended, with him being like, no, this is our vehicle. You're safe. You're fine. Get up there. And so then I did. But there was a shift in my being, and it was enough for these beings that reside in the astrals, i.e. Zeus and the fallen angels, and then for any of those beings who are not of that specific category that are making the choice to feed off of the ancient aboriginal beings' negative energy. And if they potentially have reached a point where they are consuming this energy in order to survive, like if they had a 5-meal course a day for a week, they would be on the brink of death if they did not have our negative energy to consume. So those are just a couple of examples I've had in my life. I could write a book. I'm not going to, but I know that, one, I'm not the only one. This is happening to everyone who is currently remembering and unplugging from this matrix. And I hear it in conversations with my friends here, my friends in a different state, my friends in a different country. And I just, want to say, hey, this is what's going, this is why all that just happened and went down the way that it did. And I just want to give you a hug, because you don't deserve that treatment. You don't deserve to be toyed with in that way and disrespected in that way and belittled, and the instances that I had, I mean, they were not that deep, really. They weren't even deep. Some of the other instances that I've had, it's been like, yeah, that that definitely shook me a bit, and it was more cruel. But those ones, no. But some of the instances that I'm also thinking about with my friends that have shared with me, yeah, I mean, there's just no, I get the reason in order for some of these beings to survive, but really, I mean, there was no reason for you to choose to disconnect from source. And in the grand scheme of things, yeah, there's no reason for us to be living this way, to constantly be put in situations that bring up anxiety, fear, and maybe tears, maybe anger, whatever. Just creating chaos for no appropriate reason. So yes, that was the invisible theater, and I wanted to bring that up just because of, as I said, yeah, some of the experiences I've had in my life, and I'm just noticing more, the more that, as each day passes and the Kundalini energy rises, and my heart just goes out to all of the people that are continuously put in these situations that look like me, or Latino and Latina, and they have green veins. So let's talk about, the second reason as to why. I did say it's because of, these negative principalities and the astrals that need to feed. Yes, that is a part of the conversation, and that is true. Zeus, the fallen angel, some of these hierarchical human beings. But another reason, I was watching the TV series Them, season 1. Highly recommend, if you can watch the full season, that's great. If you're to the point where TV is just a lot right now, but you're interested, I'd recommend watching episode 9. There's a quote that I want to share, and it's a direct quote from the TV series, and it's between one of the characters and this child, but the devil, Satan, is in this child. So I'm just going to read it. This is, Satan. A wound in the heart is like a door. You walk through the door and break their hearts from the inside. The man. If I break from their hearts from the inside, shall I defeat death? Satan. With their broken souls shall you purchase endless life. And such power men have only in dreams. But if you should fail to break them, your own soul shall be forfeit. If you should fail to bring them suffering, you will suffer. If you should fail to make a hell for them, one instead will be made for you. Powerful bit of dialogue. And that basically sums up, when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's why this system is set up the way that it is. And a huge motivating factor for these human beings who do not have a forever evolving soul. I do believe some of them, after we shift, are going to get souls, or at least some type of upgrade. But for the majority, I don't see that. And two, that is a huge motivating factor. If Zeus is their creator and they don't want to die, here are the terms and conditions. And this is what you need to do every day. Every day. So I can wrap my head around the motivation for it. At the same time, there was a time before time existed where we weren't living this way. I'm going to make a video on that one. Just had a memory come back to me and it was pretty cool. Yes, contracts. Let me talk about that really quick. So that was the quote from them. Highly recommend either watching episode 9 of season 1 or reading just the dialogue on Google or some other website. And contracts. So there's this book I highly recommend everyone getting or reading. It's called Word Magic, The Powers and Occult Definitions of Words by Pao Chang. One more time. Word Magic, The Powers and Occult Definitions of Words by Pao Chang. So there's a quote, and it's about mortgages, which, you know, if you didn't know about a mortgage, you are making a pledge, a promise to the dead, and to become a surety of the dead. And then this quote is from page 115, chapter 5, How the Legal System and Commerce Drain Your Energy. This allows the debt-based monetary system to drain their life force energy and use it as currency to charge the dead, allowing the dead to feel alive. So, with that information, it also mentions in this chapter, I believe it's the most necessary chapter with where we are right now in this energy cycle. This whole book is great. Audiobook is great. But that chapter right there, if they do not inform you of this when you are signing this contract for your mortgage, paying rent, that contract is completely and utterly null and void. So legally, there ain't nothing they can do if you tell them this and then decide not to pay rent while advocating for your natural rights. If they did not say you were going to be giving up and away your spiritual power, your natural rights, and your spiritual power away to the dead when you sign that contract, it is completely and utterly null and void. Where am I going with this? That was specifically for a mortgage. I believe this is applied to all contracts because they have to, when I say they, I mean those that are working, the oppressors, all the oppressors have to use word magic and trickery and wordplay in order to deceive the masses. And in order for me to have had the amount of experiences I have had with people from school, with people from my job, at every job that I've ever worked, it has to be in the wordplay, in the words with this trickery, in the terms and conditions of these corporations and establishments for them to get away with, or I should say to justify what they are doing when they are doing it to me in the astrals. And I do not believe that I am the only one. This is for all of us y'all. So I share this bit of information with some hope that in the near future, more of us will begin advocating for our natural rights and our spiritual power, begin charging up more of our spiritual power instead of consenting to having it drained, either in that way or by working a 9 to 5. If your 9 to 5 did not say any of the information that I said, at the minimum, you know, you're going to be giving up your spiritual power, your natural rights, and your spiritual power away. Null and void. Take that extra hour-long lunch. Show up late. We are to a point that they do not want to lose you. If you are carbonated, they do not want to lose you at your job. I promise you. I promise you. But there's going to come a point where more of us are going to start seeing through the veil, question what's going on, find the right tools, find the right words. In this book, it mentions how words are spells. Find those right spells, and we're all going to begin advocating for ourselves one by one, and then collectively. This system is a wrap. And I just want to share what has helped me on my journey. I want to also add, I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again just because it makes sense in this video. If, let's say, you decided you wanted to not pay rent anymore or pay that mortgage, and your landlord wanted to do something about it, or threatens you, you know, tries to get you to be in fear so you can give up that money, that energy, that's all it is your energy. Make sure to have the 3 questions. What is your surety bond number? What is the insurance that you are bonded with? And where do I go to file this claim against you for violating my natural rights? I promise there's going to be a shift in that conversation. There's going to be a shift in their being, because they know you're not playing around. And they don't want this game to end. If they can fight for one more day, they're fighting with all they have to keep up this illusion for one more day. If it's 1 more hour, they're going to fight for it. 5 minutes, they're fighting for it. I don't know when it's fully going to collapse, but it will. And until then, I just want to potentially do what I can to help those who may not have some of the information, may not have some of the tools that have definitely helped me in charging up more of my energy and also helping me grow on my spiritual journey. In moments where I would, you know, get upset and frustrated, you know, there has been a positive shift. At the same time, the more that I have risen in frequency, the more sensitive my whole body is becoming. So be forgiving with yourself, be kind to yourself. You want some extra dark chocolate that night, get some extra dark chocolate. You want to take a bath. You know, give yourself what you need on this journey that you are on. And hopefully you have some community around you. Reach out to those that are around you. Focus on those who have the absolute best intention for you. And once you start remembering what's going on, focus on the community or the people that you have around you or that are on social media that are like-minded people. All right, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day. And as always, I'm going to close this out by sending peace, courage, divine cosmic love, and protection to every single Anunnaki goddess and Anunnaki god who is on their journey of remembering who they are and remembering their divinity.